Hello, and welcome to our first stream. I am. Oh no, that was loud. All right, so welcome to our first stream. I'm Cory from Blitz Mini Studios, and we're here at Paradox Trading Post, as you see from our lovely, logo here. So today I'm painting things because that's what I do. That's kind of my job. I paint things. So we're going to be painting a Sorcerer King model from Conquest Last Argument of Kings, otherwise known as Clack. Now, I'm not a super high level painter. You're not going to be learning anything super amazing from me, but we're going to have a chill stream here, and we're going to get this model painted. All right. So, the first thing we got to do is, stick this to the little cap thingy. All right. So, this is going to be kind of an interesting experiment for me because I've never painted like an Indian skin tone before. So we are going to wing it today. But I kind of want to start off just painting this red sari here. It's a really nice sari. Of course, this whole model is really nice, actually. I really like the scale of the Conquest models. They lend to a lot of detail. Yeah. So we're going to start off here. Since I have our nice zenithal primed here, we're going to start off with a little bit of contrast paint here. And it's going to kind of give us quick results at our nice little base level here. All right. Burrito. So we'll start off here. And we're going to be using our big old brush. Because a big old brush gets big old coverage. I like coverage. Because the more coverage we're getting here, the less time it takes to paint things. Which means the quicker we're getting it on the table. I mean, in theory. Now, let's see. Here. Could be a pretty dark color. Because it didn't really zenithal this as much as I would have liked. But that's fine. We're just going to be working our color up from this kind of dark red color. And for those interested, I did use Blood Angel's contrast from Citadel for this. Locked in here. Do want to be a little careful here because, red is a very stainy color. Red overpowers a lot of things very quickly, and it's very hard to get rid of it. Precision is key, unfortunately, for this, so I'm really just going to kind of block in these big areas. I'm not going to use this giant honking thing for some of the smaller detail up here. Mainly just focused on this area here at the bottom. And it's completely fine if I get it over this raised detail. We're just going to be kind of edge highlighting with our gold color on top of it. And it's going to be fine. So if you guys are watching, pop into chat and let us know how you're doing. let us know what you're painting or what you're going to be trying to work on here pretty soon. It is one of my favorite things to, paint with other people. I mean, even though you guys aren't here, I mean, this is close enough. I am going to be trying to follow the box art here, at least for the color scheme. I'm not going to be trying to blaze a brave new path here. I thought the colors that they picked for the box art were very nice. So it's going to be kind of, the sari is going to be red, and then we're going to be accenting with a little bit of green and teal. And those of you guys that know me know how much I love painting teal. So any excuse I can get to use it is fine by me. So I am going to try very hard to keep talking here. Now it is, not in my nature. I'm a pretty quiet person, but Yeah, of course. Then Andre in the chat, my favorite person in the world, Mr. Tony Stark 31. Thank you for the watch, my dude. New favorite person, my ass, Andre. I've always been your favorite person. Let's get that out there. Alright, so now I'm going to try to get up in this area here, and I really don't want to get a whole bunch of stuff on here, so I'm going to use this really long, weird brush. I don't know why, but I really kind of jive with this incredibly long bristle length. I actually got these brushes from my mother-in-law for Father's Day. And I was just like, okay, some nice little junk brushes as usual. I mean, I can always use stuff like that, but these are actually really nice for no good reason. And I've been using the ever-loving crap out of these lately. They're actually really good for edge highlighting. And I've been doing almost nothing but infinity models lately, and they are just covered in edges. The entire thing is edges, and this thing is really good for that. So even though I am completely not doing edges right now, I'm trying to get into this little detail without making a big mess, but this also works. Also, Andre, I am completely blind, so I can't tell what you posted in the chat here. It looks like you posted 3 pictures of feet, which is pretty on brand for you. So. Oh, okay. I mean, that makes sense also. I do really need glasses. I can see really well, like when my face is into a model, but you know, just looking at a screen 8, 9 inches away from my face, I can't see shit. It's just it's really interesting how the body works, or doesn't work. In my case, for a lot of things at the moment. Something about hitting that wall, you know, after you turn 30, that's what they say. Everything just comes crashing down to the ground. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about painting this nice lady here. Let's miss this right here. This also needs to be red. Guess it could have been a different color. But you know what? Red. A little hard to see in this little crevice here, but we're getting in there. All right. Also, if you're watching, I hope you're used to, you know, some weird noises and weird talking from a weird dude, because that's what you're gonna get when you come here. Just ramblings of a man in his 30s painting tiny plastic toy soldiers. But you know, they're in the same boat. So I am officially bored of painting red. So when I get bored, I just move on to a different color in a different area of the model. Yeah. You can only paint one color for so long, and you just gotta paint a different color. Has nothing to do with you being bored of the model or being bored of painting. You just tired of looking at one color. We'll use our little handy dandy ghetto rigged wet palette here. Oh, of course, yeah. If you watch me for any extended period of time, I am going to lick my brush about 1,000 times. We should actually have someone watch these streams back and see how many times I lick my brush. That does seem like a job for Andre. Also, from editor Will here, we are using acrylic-based paints. Acrylic-based paints are non-toxic. Theoretically, they're not going to do anything too much to your health. If this was oil paints, which I do also use oil paints, so I'll probably actually do a stream using oil paints at some point. Do not lick your brush. Don't do it. You'll die. Don't. Dying's bad. Or sorry, we're on Twitch. It'll unalive you. Don't be unalived. All right. Back to painting. So we're definitely using my favorite color, teal, here. It's definitely not my favorite color, but it's a top 3 favorite colors to paint. If you've seen any of my work or an extended amount of my work, you know what my favorite color to paint is. If you know it, pop it in the chat. I'll tell you if you're wrong. This is the Sorcerer model. This is the exclusive pre-release model, I believe, for Sorcerer Kings for Last Argument of Kings Conquest. We should all have a very bold stance of being unalive. You know, being alive is better than unalive. Because if I was unalive, you couldn't see this high quality content I'm producing. Just painting this little sash here, trying not to make a mess. That's why I get real quiet. Trying to focus. I think technically in the box art, this little sash thing here is more of a green color, but as previously stated, teal good, teal real good. Teal best color. Goofed. Got some paint here. Get my big brush. Get some water on that and just wipe that away as if it never happened. Now you'll see, like, me make mistakes like that pretty constantly because I'm human. Humans make mistakes. YouTube videos don't show mistakes. It's one of the things I'm not particularly excited about. The YouTube sphere. You know, people present like this perfect work of art and they just show 3 or 4 steps and it's a masterpiece. It's not how it works. There's a lot of mistakes involved. There's a lot of trial and error. Speaking of trial and error, we are going to be trying to paint a Indian skin tone today, and I've never done that before. So we're trying today. We'll get there. But right now, teal. Teal real good also does make me feel good. I'm going to be stealing that catchphrase. Now, definitely could have. Oh, never mind. This is the same piece of cloth. That makes sense. So, this is just one piece of cloth going all the way down. I thought it was 2 different pieces of cloth, and I was going to say, you know what, let's make this teal too, but it looks like it's just one piece. Speaking of one piece, this stream will actually be shorter than the runtime of One Piece. And yes, I am here to just teach lessons about life, you know. That is correct. Live is better than unlive, and humans make mistakes. I feel like we could all learn something from that. Or not, I don't care. As long as you're entertained. Are you not entertained? It's from a movie. You know, I feel like most people have seen that movie. I'm not gonna tell you which one it is. You can go find out yourself. I'm gonna give everyone homework here today. I am not the only one here. We have editor Will here. But we also have some really nice microphones. So it's even theoretically, if people were to be here, it wouldn't interrupt the stream. We will find that out soon. All right. So now I just gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with these beads here. I could paint them teal, but seems like we need a third color on here. I'm gonna go with normal green, not a blue green. Blue green good. Variation color is also good. So I'm gonna switch to that. Get some nice shaky ASMR. I'm on our little poppy palette. Also, semi-pro tip. If you guys see me use this little poppy palette thing, I didn't invent this, of course. I stole this from a video from Tabletop Minions and Uncle Adam. Shout out to Uncle Adam. So I like to use this for contrast paints and just any kind of ink, or I mean really any kind of acrylic based paints. But it gives me a nice little well palette, and when this stuff dries up, acrylic paint does not stick to silicone, so you can just go and pop that bad boy out of there without having to clean up a bunch of stuff. I mean, sometimes you do have to do a little bit of cleanup, but it's not nearly as much as trying to clean out a hard palette. I have given this tip about 100 million times to a lot of people, so I figured I'd just do it on the stream to reach a wider audience, just in case you haven't heard of this. I mean, it is kind of getting around the painting sphere, but you know. I'm probably not going to be one to give you a whole lot of brand new ideas when it comes to painting. I've watched like 100,000 hours of YouTube, so you know, I'm just regurgitating a lot of what I learned in maybe a shorter, condensed format. You know, Paradox is not open. They open at 12. I'm here exclusively because I'm streaming. I come in early so we can get a little bit of quiet time. At least at the start of the stream. So we can get started in here. I think her little necklace is also gonna be green. Now that we're getting more and more of this model painted, I'm starting to see some little spots I missed. You just go back with this red here and get this little spot. At least base coated. But yeah, also, if you do enjoy this stream and you want to come back for more, I don't know why you would. You want to look at my ugly mug, I guess, or you want to see a cool looking model. But anyway, we are going to be streaming every Tuesday from 11 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. On twitch.tv/Paradox Syndicate. Or if that's not it, Will correct me very quickly. Okay, now I'm going to start highlighting this red a little bit. We're going to do, I'm using bold pyrrole red here. Start highlighting some of these areas, and then it's going to kind of leave a pretty broad contrast. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back in and feather out the edges again with the Blood Angels red. So it'll give us a nice smooth transition without a whole ton of effort. Well, if you're here exclusively for life lessons and brush licking, that is what I offer. Now I am using a thinner brush here. I'm going to get some of these thin highlights I know I'm going to be placing now. I'll come in with a bigger brush for my broader highlights, because I don't want to be doing a ton of different coats. Like I said, if I can, I'm going to be using the biggest brush possible to get the most coverage possible, and usually it leaves less brush strokes too. And if you've been painting longer than 5 minutes, you know that brush strokes bad. But not always. Sometimes you're trying to create textures on your cloths, but this is kind of a smooth cloth material. I don't want to create textures on this. It's not a burlap sack. This is a smooth, silky sari. Or whatever material saris are made out of. Sorry, I don't know what they're made out of. If you also enjoy extremely shitty dad jokes, you will love this stream. Because I've got a lot of them. Once again, a middle-aged man. Am I middle-aged? 35 middle-aged yet? Fine. going here. We are in the end game now. Yeah. This is very true. Once again, I'm gonna have to go back to the Blood Angel's red. I just seen that I missed an entire underside of an arm. I mean, it's shadow, but it's not supposed to be black. See, it's not a mistake if no one catches it, or if it's not live on twitch.tv/Paradox Syndicate. Oh wait, we are live. Screw it, we're doing it live. This is what you're gonna get out of me. I'm gonna try to plan out some of these projects, but you know, I find I get a lot of inspiration and do a lot of my best work just winging it. Sure, a lot of my clients love hearing that if they're watching, but you know, if you like the work you're getting, sometimes I wing it. Oh, also, I have not mentioned, I am a full-time commission painter. You can find more information at Blitz Mini Studios on Facebook. Currently, I'm working on getting to Instagram and, you know, go from there. But if you need anything painted in our local area or from abroad, give us a like, give us a follow, message me on Discord. Back to painting. Enough shilling, more painting. Just looking around here, this headdress area, I'm seeing now it's actually going to be kind of difficult to tell what is hair and what is not hair. It does kind of blend in. May have to look at some photographic reference, which I don't like doing. But I do want to make sure the model looks nice, because this model is actually somebody else. I want to make sure they're getting the best model that I can produce. All right, I've been saying I'm going to switch to this bigger brush now. Now we're actually going to do it. Add another one to the brush licking counter. And another one. Yeah. Khaled. Going a little bit thinner on these. So it's not just large deposits of pretty opaque paint. Especially like this area here. Kind of where the highlight culminates. That most of you didn't know I knew big words like culminate. Turns out, I do. Can I spell it? Probably not right now. Painting. Can't spell and paint. One thing at a time. Look, we're actually getting somewhere. This is starting to look semi-multi-dimensional. It's not just one giant block of one color. Another reason I'm also going pretty thin in some of these areas is because I want a highlight there, but I don't exactly want highlight as bright as the others, so I go a little bit more transparent. So it's still brighter than what we have in the shadow, but it's not exactly as bright as these thicker highlights. Or not thicker, but more opaque. It is easier to use the bigger brush on some of the bigger models. But it's more just about the size of the specific surface. Like on flatter surfaces, it's a lot better to use your bigger brush. Basically, I do use the bigger brush just on the whole area back here and this areas here as much as I possibly can. My mantra is usually I always try to use the biggest brush possible. As much as my hand control will let me, because you can usually, if you have a good enough tip on your brush, like no matter how big the size is, you can get it in some pretty, small areas. It's a lot of brush control though, which is built up over time. But if you practice only using small brushes, you'll never develop the skill enough to feel comfortable using a bigger brush. So use the biggest brush possible that you feel comfortable with or slightly uncomfortable with, so you can get practice with a bigger surface area. And you'll have better control, if that makes any sense. I am also prone to rambling, which is some of the chat will already know. Typically, what I use is almost exclusively Pro Acryl from Monument Hobbies. I absolutely love the consistency of the paint, the ability to be thinned down without kind of breaking apart, and it's thin enough where I can basically, without using this wet palette, put on opaque coats without, putting a giant blob of paint on there. Pro Acrylic is very forgiving for the most part. Yeah, it's for me, pound for pound, in the market today, I think they're easily the best. I mean, I'm not bullshitting you. I'll go ahead and just show you my paint tray here. All of these caps are Pro Acrylic paints. I also use contrast paints, usually as kind of a glaze in between or a base layer after a zenithal highlight. It just gives me a lot of vibrancy in the shadows and saturation. So I start off with that, and then I'll go up using my Pro Acrylic base paints and kind of blend in between those areas, again with contrast, and then go back over it with usually the same base layer, and then I'll use a, you'll see after I use this bold pyro red, I'm going to be going up to a fluorescent red. Now it could be going into the pink spectrum, or I could go into an orange spectrum for the highlights of red. I find that I don't really like either one. I find like an actual fluorescent color, such as this red, mixed with a little bit of white, it makes it into sort of a pink spectrum, but it reads a lot more as red. If you've ever seen any of my Infinity models, in my Pan-Oceania army, all of my highlights for my red, like the glowing bits and things like that, are the fluorescent red, and they punch you straight in the face, and I really like it. Once again, I am not sponsored by Monument Hobbies. However, if Jason sees this, I love you. I love your paints. Thanks. All right. Once again, for the second time, I'm going to stop shilling and paint more. We're going to get some paint on this model. It's going to look cool because it's a cool model. It's kind of hard for me to not screw up. Or scratch that, reverse it. Yeah, another lick for the counter, yeah. Anybody keeping track out there? Also, yeah, my favorite color to paint is hot pink. I love anytime I get to use hot pink on a model. It's definitely one of my favorite things in the world. I can't explain it, but yeah, it goes as follows. So there will be a test later. It goes hot pink, teal, purple. I love painting with those colors as much as humanly possible. It's always a good experience, and it's where I tend to shine a little bit more, because I was told this is probably one of the best things that actually helped out my painting career. I was told a while back by Will, actually. We were looking at some of my models in the cabinet display that I have at the store, and
At the time, I was very much into a grim, dark painting style. And he was looking at the model. He's like, everything in his cabinet is like dark and dirty. Couldn't tell him, but, wait. And he was right. So, I'm a very, well, fine, I'll show you. And then, it's part of the reason I got into Infinity. I needed an excuse to paint something incredibly bright and to punch you in the face with brightness and brightness. So I showed Will I could paint bright shit. Most jumps in my hobby life have been kind of showing somebody that I can do something different. I needed kind of a kick in the ass sometimes, because I do get stuck in a painting style for a minute and realize, oh yeah, there's other things I could be painting, and there's different ways I could be painting. And then I've kind of developed my style from there, out of spite. I'm just going over to here with a first pass of gold. I'm going to try to be very careful with this. As you can see, I already got a fleck of gold. Now, if you're quick enough, when you notice these mistakes, you just saturate your brush full of water and just start scrubbing at that bad boy. It'll go away. Promise you. But you gotta be fast. Also, if you are painting with metallics, I do recommend you have 2 cups of water to clean your brushes with, so you don't get metallic flakes all in your water after you clean off your brush. Sometimes. It doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes you will get metallics stuck in that water. And you're trying to, you have a little bit of moisture on that brush, and then you just have metallic flakes noticeably where you don't want them, and you don't know how they got there. That's how they got there. You did it. It didn't magically come out of your other paint. It came from your water. Yeah, technically you could lick it off. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's kind of what I did, essentially. Never thought I'd be using the word licking so much in just painting a model on Twitch. But you know what? That's kind of where we are. Also, if you told me a year ago that I'd be painting just anything on Twitch, I would have told you you're an insane person. Please, please go away. Here we are. So, ranking paintbrushes by mouthfeel, I can definitely tell you that dry brushes are the worst. They're very big, they hold a lot of pigment, they also hold a lot of water, and your paint water doesn't often taste great. Can also get into, you know, the best tasting and worst tasting paints if you would like. You know. You see, I'm just edge highlighting here. I'm not using the tip of my brush at all. I'm using the edge of this. Just grazing it. Because when I'm using the edge of this, I'm just grazing the tops and the raised areas of this. Because this model is very nice. It has a lot of your metallic details are raised, like this scroll work here. Like if this was recessed or, you know, just having to, you know, freehand it, it would be pretty terrible. But since it's literally raised like this, all I've got to do is just lightly. It does take a very light hand. You do want to follow the curve of the model to make sure you're flat with the edge that you're actually painting. Otherwise, you know, you will get dots of unwanted metallic paint somewhere where they're not supposed to be. Just kind of tapping it in. Some of these around the folds may be inevitable, much like Thanos. May just get stuff on them. That's always, I mean, that's kind of what I would want for a first pass. Obviously, I'm going to come back and more, and then work around these edges here, because as you see, like there's gap in between with the red and where the gold's going to meet. That's fine. We're just hitting first passes right now. We'll come back in and tune it in as we go. Also curious if guys in the chat here, what would you like to see me paint on these streams? Definitely going to try to, you know, kind of stick to the games that, you know, we run here in the shop at Paradox Trading Post. But I definitely want to diversify, you know, things that you're going to be seeing week to week. Because like even just changing between like different model ranges, like they have different skill sets. As you've probably seen me mention before, like Infinity is just, it's all edges, man. You will get very good or very frustrated with edge highlighting just by switching to Infinity models. Also, Corvus Belly, if you're watching, I love you. These actually look passable
on the first go around, but passable is not what we're going for here.
We're going for a little bit higher quality than passable. However, there are certain things here that I'm going to be painting in a speed painting kind of way. And we will be looking for straight up passable. This is not it. This is true. No one ever does talk about dehydrated artists. Your boy hydrated. I don't know what to tell you. And more than likely filled with microparticles of pigment binder and pigment. I'm really interested in to see if, you know, when I die or when I'm unalived, if when they open me up and just like, I'm actually like a confetti bag of color, like on the inside of my lungs, or just insides in general, like what the hell happened to this man? He just licked his brush a lot.
Trying to get in on these little bit of details here. I'm really enjoying how this is coming out though, and these models are very nice to paint. They are very big.
Painted a couple Conquest models in the past, but I haven't really done an entire army of Conquest. So if you would like to have me paint your Conquest army, send it on over. Mr. Rob Dean here for the trolls. Trollolololololol. All right, you guys will be kind of my guinea pigs here. We're gonna have a test because the doors are open. Keep looking at the wrong camera. This is the right camera if I'm looking at you, fine people. So if you would like to come in person and watch me make a fool of myself on the interwebs, that's the thing you can do. I can't stop you. Oh well, Silver Wolf, you've been here since the before times. This is far from Dead by Daylight. This is another thing entirely. You're just here for painting. Not the Mr. Video Game guy here. But I am glad you're here.
If we can angle this brush here and try to get up under here.
Well, it's starting to look like something now, which I'm a big fan of. I like to
Quickly have our model look like something rather than just a pile of garbage.
Okay. I mean, I assume that would be pretty entertaining. Editor Will here is, talking to me on the side here. At some point, he's going to be moderating the chat for me. But right now, you just have me. He's going to be throwing questions out at me while I can focus and paint. However, I'm kind of just liking the vibes here. And that's what you're here for, I'm assuming. That's good vibes. Trying to throw out good vibes. Try real hard. This is a hobby, people. It's supposed to be enjoyed. Oh, also another thing that I didn't point out at all. So when I'm using metallics, I really don't like putting them on a wet palette. Not because the metallics will soak into the material I'm using for the wet palette and get metallic flakes everywhere. That's kind of a myth. However, the metallic flakes in your water, that's real. But as I'm rambling here, I usually like putting it on my dry palette. This is my dry palette. All this is literally a piece of cardboard primed with a little bit of sprue on here. I use this a lot for dry brushing, especially the sprue, because you can see very easily, what's on the actual dry brush before you're actually putting it to your model, because you have a lot of mistakes doing it that way. So it's better to test it on a piece of crap cardboard than it is your model that you're spending so much time on. But the reason I'm using a dry palette here is the metallics tend to separate a lot on a wet palette, and then they become kind of a mess. So it's just better to use it on a dry palette and just keep refilling. Now this Pro Curl stuff, once again, Pro Curl is amazing, but it has a pretty long work time on a dry palette too, and into its many other numerous effects that I really enjoy about the paint range itself. That has a pretty nice little work time, and it doesn't like film over too much or start drying almost immediately. But I do recommend putting it in a blob, So you may have to break up like a little surface skin a little bit, but for the most part, I mean, you have a little bit of working time. But like I said, we are gonna refill this. Some more shaky ASMR.
Start getting in about midway down the brush. So when I do start edge highlighting, I can, start in the middle. Just kind of filling in these areas. Little tassels are also going to be gold. That seems cool to me. Despite what a lot of people tell you, like, oh, it's not lore accurate. They're your models. You paint them how you want to have your models painted. You spent all the money. You spent all the time. You should have what you want. That is the most important thing. Not what James Workshop or any other color tells you. This is the accurate color. It has to be this color. No other colors. There's only Zool. That was a weird note to end on. If you enjoy weird notes to end on, you've come to the right stream. And we will be streaming here every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Paradox Turret and Post in the beautiful sunny Alicia, Washington. All right. Clean out our brush here. So, like I said, I'm tired of painting gold, so I'm not going to paint gold anymore. We're going to paint another color. Just so I could show you guys what I was talking about with the highlights for the red. We're going to go with fluorescent red. Yeah, Devlove, you can watch your own models be painted in real time. It's almost like you could just spend that time painting your own models, but I'm very glad that you're having me paint them. Puts food on my table and money in my checkbook. We like money in the checkbook. Now it's subtle at first, but once I build this up about 2 or 3 times,
This color will punch you straight in the face. We call this the Mike Tyson method. Nobody calls it that. I just made that up. I will probably be making up a lot of words for things that have no meaning or correlation to anything at some point. At some point, you know, I just kind of lose it. And I have no idea what I'm talking about. Getting there. Now this fluorescent red is also super transparent too. So technically we could just use it as a glaze over some of our other colors as a transition color. But it kind of almost doesn't do anything over a darker color, so. All right, gotta paint this little hip color here. Just the spot there. You can kind of get a good idea of where it's going or where it will end up at this point. These colors that we have going on. So it's a lot of back and forth at this point with these other colors. Going back in with more pyrrole red to kind of punch up this area here a little bit more. And then I'll go back over it. The fluorescent red. It is a lot of back and forth getting these highlights up without being super stark of contrast. Contrast is great, but I am a serial blender of color. So also I haven't painted this headdress back here. So if you haven't guessed what color this is going to be so far, you haven't been paying attention. Devloaf, thank you for the tier 1 sub, my dude. My man. And to answer your question before you ask it, yes, at some point I will be painting your models on stream. And if you are one of my clients for my commission business, if you do want your model painted on the stream, ask me. That's probably a thing we can do. I always need more content, and you guys definitely help with content. Right. All right, so we are going to kind of switch gears here for a little bit. I actually do have the Gwenum with the graffiti painted dick butt. It is in my locker currently, so if you would like to pick it up today, it is available along with 4 other models that I painted for you. It was a very strange request that I got from Devlov. I painted a Gwenum that just had a large brick wall as a backdrop for the model, and like in our group chat, I had posted like, "Man, I really just want to paint a dick on this thing," and he was like, "Just paint a dick butt." I was like, "Yes, graffiti painted dick butt." Yeah, made it happen, Captain. It was the strangest and also my favorite request for a freehand piece on a model. Even though I did have actually someone request that I paint the cover of Infinity Gauntlet #1 on the back of a cape. And needless to say, I did not take that commission. Like I said, I am not the highest quality painter, but I get quite a bit of quantity out. To a decent standard, I feel. Good enough for tabletop. Or tabletop plus, as some call it. The word tabletop standard is the most nebulous term in the entirety of miniature painting. No one knows what it is. It means something different to everyone else in the entire world. So it is the word that I hate the most in almost all of the tabletop hobby, the miniature painting hobby. The other word that I hate the most is if you've ever been on eBay, the term pro painted gets thrown around so much. It's also not one of my favorites. But I guess, technically, if you were paid to paint something, you were a professional painter. Do it as a profession. I guess technically I'm a professional painter, but put my work up against Ben Comet's, and I'm just gonna throw my stuff in the garbage. Or Sergio Calvo is also one of my other favorite artists. But favorite artist for miniature painting is Angel Heraldez. If you've been paying attention to the stream, you know that I really enjoy the game Infinity, and he used to do all of the box art for Infinity. So all of those gorgeously painted Infinity models you can think Mr. Angel Herald is. In my mind, he is one of the GOATs. I did say we were going to switch gears and we are going to paint some skin, and then I went back to do things that I was already doing. And we're actually going to do the thing now. Okay. So, once again, I've never painted an Indian skin tone before. But we're going to try it today. So, I'm probably going to start here with a dark umber mixed into like a dark flesh, and then a dark flesh, and a light umber into dark flesh, and then light umber as their highlights. It's probably where I'm gonna go. We're gonna see if we need to adjust anywhere, but I think that's kind of where I want to go. So this is going to be a pretty dark color, but this is for our shadow, essentially, of our skin. So now with these skin tones, you definitely want to have more thinned out because you're going to be placing a lot of layers. This is definitely where you're going to be wanting thin layers layered upon each other, upon layers, so you don't get any clogging of detail or any kind of texture. That would be bad. Now, this area here is all armbands. Now there is going to be some skin showing there, but I think we're going to end up taking a wash to that, and it's going to cover that up pretty well. So I'm not going to paint the entire arm skin, do all the highlights, and then do gold on top of it, because I feel like that would be almost a pretty big waste of time. And in my line of work, time is money. But also, time is time. And time's important, because you could be spending that time doing other things that actually matter. All right. No, that looks incredibly dark, which is fine. Doesn't matter, it's just gonna be our darkest skin tone that we have. So, I mean, that's completely fine, because we're just gonna be doing a lot of highlighting up from here. I'm gonna have a quick look at the time, just to see where we're at in the stream. When I tend to paint, time slips away. Okay, now I'm gonna still paint this base layer here, but we're gonna go with a little bit thinner brush. Try to get in here. Little window. Super accurate there. All right. When the skin dries here on the face, what we're gonna do, the next thing I typically do is I start doing the eyes. reason I do the base layer, then the eyes, so I can do the eyes. It's gonna give me a little wiggle room to come back in and fix, you know, little mistakes there. Then we highlight it up from there. Otherwise, you know, if we did the fully face and then we did the eyes last, you may slip with the pupil and you get, you know, your darker color on your lightest color highlight, and you have to highlight all the way back up. Whereas if you do the eyes next, you know, you don't have to worry about that. You just have to be careful when painting your skin.
I might be getting into. Nice. I got 2,000 points.
All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to paint these eyeballs. So I'm spinning it to the finest point I can possibly get. Now I don't know if this is going to come up on camera. So I'm bracing my arms against the table. I have multiple points of contact. Boom, right there. Now turn the model upside down, so I have the same sort of hand position. Boom. There's the pupils. And that actually turned out pretty well. Sometimes, you know, you'll have a little bit of slippage either one way or the other, then you come back in with your base color and then just, you know, fudge it from there. All right. Now we're going to take a quick break here, and I will be back in about a minute or so. All right, we are back. All right, so I left off. We just painted these the whites of the eyes here. Now we're going to be painting the pupil, which is always an adventure. We like adventures here. All right, so for the pupil, I'm going to be using coal black from, you guessed it, Procro. All right. Now, again, once again, I'll be spinning my brush real good. I got the finest tip possible. Boom. Yep. That's basically what I wanted there. I wanted a little bit of side eye, like she's turned this way, but she's looking this way. Came out great. So, went a little heavy on that. That's fine. You can just come back in here, put a dot of white. Just. Alright, now you see we did make a mess here. That's fine, because we're just going to come back in here with our flesh color. A little bit of there. There. Arrow this eye in a little bit. Side. We're golden. Alright. Eyes don't have to be as scary. All about the steps that you take to paint the eyes. So now we're gonna add a little bit of dark flesh. We're gonna mix in like 50-50 mix. And we're gonna start painting the majority of the face with this, except for the darkest recesses. Tops of the hands, and we'll start picking out the fingers too. We can do that easily by turning our brush sideways. Leaves the darkest recesses. Start highlighting the cheeks here, and the nose, and the chin area. Come. We are indeed painting them cheeks. Yeah, we're going to be using a smaller and smaller area with our brighter and brighter color. And you'll notice this top part I'm just completely ignoring, which I see is actually a part of her headdress. So what I'm going to do is just paint that in so we can kind of frame the face properly. And just like before, we are just painting side to side with our brush. So you're only getting the tips, just the tips. Figure I'd just say just the tips before, Dev comes in here. and says it for me. What can I say? I aim to please. All right. All right. Keep painting. Going back in on these chin, nose, cheeks. The lighter and lighter color. Now we'll go to a light umber mixed in with our dark flesh. Test it on the hands, see if that looks right. We're getting there. Skin is typically a pretty slow process, but it's a very important process to get right because, you know, skin is one of those things you kind of reach the uncanny valley in where, you know, it's one thing that you can really tell if it looks off because, you know, we're so used to looking at skin, you know, being humans, so we know what humans are supposed to look like. And if they look somewhat different, it's very apparent to us.
Yeah, I don't remember that being in the kit.
Yeah, no, I built, I think, I'm not sure if I showed you this said steam tank, but
I think we'll give that skin a little bit of time to dry here, so we don't want to pull up any layers. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna go straight into this hair. Start with a pure black.
named after
We'll highlight it a little bit later.
return to.
So I don't know if you can tell, chat, if you can hear the background noise or not, because the store is open now, so there are people here, and it is kind of bumping in here at the moment. So if you can hear a lot of noise, let me know. We'll see if we can figure that out.
Believe it or not, I am capable of making.
So then I think what we're going to do is we're going to paint these gold in the top two. We'll get that in a minute though. What I do want to do is come back in to these parts that we missed earlier. I do want to come back in and put some more of our Blood Angels red on the bottom of this. Just so it looks a little bit more complete. Go back in with our bigger brush here.
Yes, we should.
Just being careful around the gold area, but the gold area is, like I said earlier, it's pretty raised. So it's easy to maneuver around it. Barely an inconvenience. Get a little bit of there. That's fine. Realized I got off camera there for a second. We'll get back on. Also, Chad, if I do get off camera, just like, you know, sometimes I get in the zone, you know, just let me know. All right, so, you know, Dev's got me here with a second sub. If I say this twice, Miss Puggy Wuggy has a square cut punt. Not a punt cut square, just a square cut punt. It's round in the stern and blunt in the front. Miss Puggy Wuggy has a cut punt. Try this again. Miss Puggy Wuggy has a square cut punt, not a punt cut square, just a square cut punt. It's round in the stern and blunt in the front. Miss Puggy Wuggy has a square cut punt. Good job. We did it. Leave it to Dev for our random bullshit of the day. Let's go. Thank you, Dev, once again, for another tier 1 sub.
Yeah, yeah, he was like, he said that, I'm like.
I tried real hard. So as you see, I'm starting to blend in these areas here between the highlight and the shade. I'm just going in the midpoint between those two and blending down into the shade. Oh, I'm aware of that. Devin's not trying to get me to say terrible things on the internet, you know.
His first and last ever stream.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew if Devin joined the stream, this is what would happen. You know, Connor, if you want a Gwenum with a dick butt painted on the wall, you know, I know a guy that's done one before, so he has experience in painting a dick butt. I know him because he is me, and I am he. Now, nobody tell Erica, but this is actually her model. She doesn't know it yet.
Nobody tell me what.
Oh, wait, she heard me. But she half heard me because she's half paying attention. All right. So I hope you like how this is looking, Erica, because this is your fucking model. It's not too low, you're too old. All right. Let's go back to the skin here. See if we can get this highlighted up a little bit better.
Cory.
Oh, you're welcome. This is the benefit and curse of also doing this in the shop is, you know, everybody can hear me talk. Yes. Ah, fantastic. All of my fans giving me the "You're number one" finger. Just what we love to see. You're number one. You're number one. You're only as old as you feel. Feel old? I feel old. I feel old all the time. I feel like my death can be coming at any time. Any time.
I'm looking forward to playing my guard since the dad slate changes.
Just putting dots on these knuckles here is a pretty good way to get these highlighted here. You don't want to highlight the entire finger with your lightest color highlight, just some knuckles. Now let's see here. I do want to come back in with this belt here and color these a little bit better, and there's a lot of white showing here. Speaking of a lot of white showing, if you want to see that, you can see me dance. At some point, I have a feeling Devloaf is going to give a sub to watch me dance. And, you know what? Might do it. Anything for you guys. Erica in the chat telling me I need an OnlyFans for that. Joke's on her, I already got one. Way ahead of you. And no, I don't really have an OnlyFans. But, no. If you wanted some advanced painting tutorials, I could, you know, open up an OnlyFans and do painting tutorials on OnlyFans. I mean, according to the company, it's more than just porn, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, it really couldn't matter.
No, it really doesn't.
Right. Looks pretty cool. It's looking good so far. Happy how this is turning out. Let's go ahead and get some more gold. I love gold. It's really funny how much I'm having to talk here. It's, anybody that knows me knows that I am a pretty quiet person. But here I am, just blabbing and blabbing and blabbing. That's fine.
Being overly nitpicky about it.
Once again, very careful here. Technically, I really don't have to, because I could just easily paint over that spot with black. But let's go ahead and get some color on the rest of these wristbands. So at least I leave you, because I'm about to leave you. But at least something will have some color on it somewhere, and it'll look somewhat like an actual model. I did just get a giant glob of paint on her elbow. So we are going to scrub that away. Okay.
You can't win everything.
Okay. All right. Been leaning over for a little bit, so figure I'd get a stretch in there.
Okay. That is very cool.
I know this is a very weird angle here.
Please explain it to yourself.
I'm sure you can really see what I'm doing here, but I'm trying to get the underside of that arm there.
And there's a big
It was a little bit awkward of an angle. Let's see, so I doubt you could definitely see what I was doing there, but now that we got some gold on that arm, it's starting to look like a presentable model here.
This one is super.
That I would be proud to show somebody, like, look, I did the majority of a model. Right. So once again, sometimes being fast isn't everything, especially when you're getting sloppy. Sloppy at the beginning is definitely more acceptable than sloppy at the end. Sure, a few people in this chat know a lot about being sloppy. Right. Look at that. There's fucking paint on this thing. I definitely should have swapped to a smaller brush doing that. I got cocky. Don't get cocky, kid. That did not go how I wanted it to go. That's fine. Yeah, I just seen your message. Dev. Yeah. You know what? I have a really bad ankle at the moment. Any type of waltzing is just a terrible idea for me. So, no waltzing today. Alright, now go back in with this gold. Try to fix some of the other mistakes I've made, which are plentiful. Booping these edges. Clean up these edges here. Make these nice and solid. It's so funny, someone else in the store is watching the stream, so I'm hearing myself twice. You ever watch a recording of yourself and just like, who in the hell is voice is that? That's what's happening to me currently.
Oh, I should keep this up.
And once again, like up here in this hair area,
This okay, so this one.
it's a little bit harder to reach in here and to get it accurately. So if I spill over, it's fine. I'm going to be covering it up with the easiest to cover up color in the world, black. So let's see, a few more spaces here.
Oh, hey, look.
There you go, off camera once again. All right. So, we've reached our 1 o'clock hour here. Just gonna paint for a few more minutes here. Thanks again, Dev, for the tier 1 sub. Here, gentlemen, on a scala. I thank you very much. Right, just get some more gold, because, you know, one thing we're lacking here is gold.
The bottom here.
All right, well, sadly, folks, we are not going to be able to finish this model today, but you can kind of see where we're going with this. This is where we're going to be ending the stream today. So thank everyone for coming. Once again, we'll be having the stream every Tuesday from 11 to 1. Follow us on twitch.tv/Paradox Syndicate. And thank you for watching. See you next week.